When shit gets real.
When shit gets real.
Okay.
That's the title of the book. What do you reckon?
I can't believe how apt that is. And it's when you know, when that's sort of thrown at you, you just realize you're so much part of that. And when you asked me to contribute to that, I just thought, yes, this is what I want to be part of. So as you know, I'm in my 60s now, and when I turned 60, I decided that this was going to be my best decade. And what has happened since then is that everything that is real in my world has suddenly become part of who I am and where I want to be.
Yeah.
So it was an absolute treat to reignite with you again,
Yes.
which was absolutely lovely.
And one of the pieces of gold that I got out of your writing was that life is like a game of snakes and ladders, and that gave me a sense of reassurance from an elder that I have evidence that it doesn't always have to be this up. It's allowed to wobble. And what you said to me just before about, you know, I still feel worried that I don't have the capacity to pull off solo parenthood and running a business and having relationships and things like that. It's like, oh, I'm not sure about my capacity, and you just said, you know, you got to ride this.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
What did you say? Have the anchors in.
Have the anchors in place and not dip, you know, for each problem.
Yeah.
And that's it with the snakes and ladders. You know, life is like a game of snakes and ladders in the sense we all go from 1 to 100.
Right.
And all our decades are just adventures or different chapters in our books. And we have to, sometimes things surprise us, but we spend a lot of energy, you know, climbing up the ladders. And we go rung by rung, opportunities come. Sometimes we have to try a bit harder at doing something, and then we get to a certain rung and whoop, we slide down a slippery snake, whether it's financial situation, whether it's medical, family, there's something that hits us along the road. And then certainly as women, what we do well is that we get on the next ladder and we climb the next rung until we meet the next slippery snake, which unfortunately is what life is all about. And I think when we start to move forward on a different journey or a journey ahead of us, which is what you're doing with your book, and what we must do is make sure that we ride the waves and we don't dip with every problem, because dipping takes us down to an energy level that we can't cope with, and we need to stay high, because let's face it, in the end we'll remain high, and we'll always get back to that, rather like the stock market, they say, so which keeps climbing higher, whatever happens, and we need to do that with our energy and our intentions.
And I see you doing that in the way you gather your resources and the way that you bring women together in this over 60s category.
Absolutely.
And it's like you all have this reciprocity that kind of meets these needs that have been yearned for all this time.
My group, Power of Women in Our 60s, we're not all great powerful women in that sense, but we've gathered the power through all our experiences in our life. And when you think about what we've been through, whether it's divorce or whether it's deaths or whether it's children, you know, being able to move them forward with their dips, and then of course looking after our elderly parents, we're really quite qualified in a lot of things, life's experiences, and we're able to look back and say, my goodness, look at all the different avenues that have opened up to us and the choices we've made, some good, some not good. And I do say that, you know, if plan A and B haven't worked, let's try plan C, D, E, and keep going until we succeed at something. And as I said to you earlier, it's lovely listening to Jane Fonda, who suddenly she looks back at life and she said, you know, when I hit 62 and I was single, she said, I suddenly realized my worth and also what I was meant to be here on earth to do. And since then she's been vibrant and powerhouse in all of her actions. So yeah, it's an interesting world.
You call it bizarre.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I always say, we need to do things that are a bit bizarre.
Right.
And at this stage in life, we've got to keep creating our own stories.
Uh-huh.
If we stop doing them and we play safe, a lot of women in our 60s, we tend to put ourselves in that safe area. And I'm waiting for my next adventure. It'll happen at some stage, but it's, will I accept it? Will I not? And then as we get into our 70s and 80s, then we start to play safe a little bit more because we do have to look after ourselves. But certainly in our 60s, it's a decade between 50s and 70s where I think we can, accelerate a bit rather than
Right.
put on that slow motion. So,
Well, you are glowing, and we've just had a play with the new Illuminate. This one, we did a whole little thing with Chris this morning. She's going to be my model.
Yes, yeah, and willingly, because again, at this age, we've been brought up with all the brands, and we've been sold all the brands.
Yeah.
And now to find something, I have known Evo for a long time, and I use your oils, which are just gorgeous. But you're now developing so much more, and it's like putting goodness into your skin, so that when you put your base on and then your foundation, you just know that it's seeping in and it's making the world good.
Yeah, and it's like we still have our wrinkles.
Yes.
And like I love it. I love that we can just be who we are, but be nourished.
That's it.
From this.
That is it.
And we also have another little secret, secret power coming out, which is the vulva care.
I am going to tell all my girlfriends about this one, because it's a personal gift. And I think Megan has just given us a personal gift that we all desire. But, it's not there to actually, get hold of and make personal. So that what a gift that is. Absolutely gorgeous. Yes, yes, certainly.
We have just covered so much. I felt like I should have had the camera on the whole time that Chris was here. We just had the best chat.
But I think, when two minds meet and we've got similar values, you at your stage in your world, I'm at my stage in my world, it's we just share goodness, and it fills you up. It fills my cup up, to be in this environment that you've got here. And the basics of just living every day for what it is,
right,
and knowing when to say no, I think is a huge one, whether it's with partners, whether it's with children, whether it's with worldly services, offers, products that come into our world today. There's a big selection. So to stay true to yourself and to have Evoe in your life and to share in this book that's coming out. Honestly, such a treat.
I almost feel like I don't quite have the words, because it does feel so new and unknown to be living in this way. It's like there's no hustle, there's no performance. It's just meaningful connection. Is this my life? And it's like apparently it is.
It is. And I think the way you live it and the way you share it.
You said it's an invitation.
It's an invitation, yeah.
And that I'm going to take that with me.
Absolutely. I think what Megan has developed within her products are actually gifts rather than products, because the value in each one is just enormous. And now you're going to invite everyone to try your new products, and for women it's personal. And I think what's lovely is that we tend to become private people, and what you're doing is slowly opening us up to possibilities, and feel good stuff, and
it's
the personal is allowed to stay personal, but we open up to inviting it in.
Right.
Just gorgeous.
And that sounds like common humanity to me, which I think is what
so true.
That's what's been driving me, and it's probably what gives me the momentum to come out of my shell and come out of my hiding, and just because there is that part of me that yearns for the meaningful connection, and so it's like I
also think you've got sort of been sleeping with yourself, and you're now waking up, and rather than it be brand new, you've got a whole tribe there waiting for this. You know, you've people who know you, people who have used your product, people who know your intentions, and for women, certainly at my stage in life, this is no fear. Because I think in our 60s decade, we just want to trust. You know, we want to trust who we buy from. We don't want to be conned. We don't want to. We want to know that, you know, the value is there, and you've always got that value.
Thank you.
Because it comes through you. And that's where I think you will find that it is a gift. And when you go out with your invitations, you'll have a lot of people saying yes.
Thank
that's
you.
For sure. Absolute
Thank you
pleasure.
so much.
Absolutely.
We're going to do this more. We've got a lot. I feel like there's a lot brewing, and it's sort of day by day. I'll just go steady into this next chapter.
That's exactly.
And keep making the invitation. I feel like it's when I make the invitation to the outside, I also have to make it to all those parts of me that are scared and wobbling and feeling unworthy, and you know, like these are the conversations that I feel like I want to have, and there's a lot of those conversations in the book, you know, the ugly side of motherhood and motherhood and grief, and there's a lot of nitty-gritty in the book, and I feel a bit scared to put the book out there, but it's like it's happening now. And and when I first said to you it's soon, and you were like, how are you feeling about that? And mostly it's okay, and the bit that I feel proud of, if that's the word, is that I've let go of the expectations for it to be perfect. And you were like, bravo.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
It's like, because there's that part of me that just needs it to be perfect and needs to be please everyone, and it's like, oh well.
And all those who are feeling like you.
I figure,
you know, if you were perfect in every way, you wouldn't be able to have that connect, which you do so well. So you've got those who are just, you know, waiting for this to happen, and to sort of delve into the book for a bit of reality, knowing that other people do. I suppose it's like young boys and girls who find that they're in situations whether they've gone through something, you know, really quite emotional, and at that stage they think they're the only one. There's a lot about that, and they, you know, they're going to school, they're with their friends, and they feel they're the only one on the planet who's been through something terrible, and then suddenly people start to talk to them, and they open up, and they think, my goodness,
it's such a relief, isn't it?
Such a relief.
Okay, we can exhale now, because it's like when shit gets real, we get real as well, and we get united. And I think that's what's such a blessing about the book, is that there's at least 40 contributing writers who have done this with me, and it's like I couldn't have done it, and I wouldn't have wanted to do it any other way. Like, this is what makes my life meaningful.
Exactly.
So
you can be a one-man show, or you know, and you find that harder because you're going along the journey on your own, or else you just have everyone around who you know, buffs you and picks you up, and you find that you then connect with like-minded you know, minds that get you and appreciate your value, and that's what you carry with you.
I feel like I've been in a bubble of that, and now going out into, I feel like you're really courageous. I mean, maybe you say it's that you don't carry that fear so much anymore, but you go out into the world, and you're helping young kids, young women in their early teens, and you're like a mother figure to them, and it's a big world that they're in.
It is. I look after teenagers in a boarding house, the teenage girls, feisty teenage girls, and they're just starting their journeys basically, and they've left home, they're on their own for a long time, and you should see all the products that come in. Whoa, that's a biggie. And then you've got those who've obviously come from homes where, you know, they're enriched with natural products, and they're the ones everyone listens to.
Really?
Because it's still new to everybody. You know, everyone knows what you get in supermarkets and chemists, but then you'll get that, you know, and you can hear mums talking to their daughters at home, and you know, just make sure, and the teas that come in, the moisturizers and what they use in the bath. So that's a start, you know, and I'm able to go and I'll have my tea on the desk and Speed, can I have a cup of tea? And rather than their soda or you know, their dreadful drinks that they choose.
Yeah.
But and you talk about the sugars and whatever at that stage, but you know, we all went through that.
Yeah.
And so you start with that recognition where, you know, girls who leave will always remember, you know, oh, I remember I had a cup of tea with such and such.
Yeah, you're
and
making an impact.
yes,
And
yeah,
it's-
she always used to cut the fruit or
Yeah,
whatever,
and it-
rather than you sitting there, you know, chomping away at something sugary and sweet. So it starts there and then it goes through. And I think certainly your book and Evoe, it looks after so many different stages of a woman's life. You know, starting with teenagers, then going out on their own. If they could grab this, just their what you're teaching them and their awareness in how to, as you said, it's self-care. It's all to do with self-care, and you know, we've all gone through, as I say, the products that we really haven't known much about, and believing the advertising that it's doing is good. You know, the most expensive, the gorgeous products that are out there on models. And then we strip it away and we find Evoe, you know, that just is something we want to be part of, you know. And I don't think we're too late at this stage.
No, I've loved being able to say better late than never. I'm happy with that.
Yes.
Even in what I'm realizing now about I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to please everyone. I can be my best friend. I can nourish myself and meet my needs. It's like, okay, I'm 46. I'm finding that out now. Better late than never.
Yes, yeah. I mean, if you've got skin as yours at 46, honestly, you know, you've to go through now, you know, your 50s and your 60s, 70s, and with that glow, knowing that there's nourishment going into your skin all the time, you know, and you're sharing it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for the chat.
Absolute pleasure. Anytime.
Oh my God,
you know,
I
we can
can't
talk
believe
for.
There's so much more. We're
yes.
17 minutes.
That's right.
We said we were going to do 5.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, we'll end it now.
Okay.